Hi, this is Jim Gibson with Business Sense Podcast. Thank you for watching today. I really appreciate it. And today we're going to talk about the difference between being rich and being wealthy. But before we do that, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you can get every single video that I produce in the future. Also, if this video is profitable for you and you enjoy it or whatever, please like it and also comment. If you think I don't know what I'm talking about, absolutely, that's fine. Say so, and I'd be really appreciate to hear from you. I was with a friend of mine a few years ago. It was right before or right at the beginning of the Great Recession, as they call it. And we were sitting out on his patio area, and from his house, which was more than just $2 or $3 million home, it was a beautiful home. And we're sitting out on that porch, and we're looking out at all the neighbors. We could see all these big McMansions out there that had beautiful cars and tennis courts and things like that. I mean, these were very rich people. And he said to me, he goes, the interest rates are rising kind of quick right now, and they're going to continue to rise. And a lot of these people are going to lose their homes, sad to say. And on top of that, they're probably going to declare bankruptcy. They're going to lose these beautiful high-priced cars that most of them have leased. They don't own it. And in fact, they don't own basically anything. But they're rich. He goes, they have enough to qualify for a certain amount of loans and stuff like that. But most of the loans are adjustable rate mortgages. And once that rate goes up and they can no longer afford those payments, they're either going to have to sell the house or they're going to go into foreclosure. Now, a lot of them, he told me years later, filed for bankruptcy. They lost the house, they lost the cars, they lost a lot of things during that time. And from what he described to me that day, he told me the difference between being rich and being wealthy. What is the definition of wealth? Well, wealth is the length of time that you can live without active income. Now, the next question is, what is active income? Well, active income is the income you get in exchange for the time that you put into something. So if you're working at a normal job, you got to show up at a certain time, you got to leave at a certain time, you have to produce a certain amount of stuff. But inactive income, passive income, is something like authors get who write books, people who have real estate and collect rent on real estate, things like that. That means they don't have to be active every single day, all the time, to get income. So there's some days they like to go to the beach. That's passive income. They get paid that day. That's passive income. Rentals, that's passive income. So remember, or ask yourself, do you rely on your active income only, or do you have passive income? So it's a length of time you can live without active income. So maybe it's just money in the bank. That's great, but money in the bank is not as valuable as having written a book, or that you can sell on Amazon, or YouTube is another one. But in my opinion, the best is real estate. It gains in value, and at the same time, each month you get rent. So that's the difference between wealth and active income. And these people who were that had these McMansions, most of them, all they had was active income. And there's a limit to that. There's so much time you can give to something. You run out of time. Time is the limiting factor here. So if you have true wealth, it doesn't rely on your time or how much time you put into something. It relies on the investment you have in something. So let's move on. Let's talk about the lottery. I do remember a family member that would put $20, $40, $60 a payday or once a week into the lottery system. And she was always poor, but she always managed to have some sort of money to scrape together to buy lottery tickets as she was checking out of the supermarket or whatever. And I said to her one time, I said, why do you do that? And she goes, well, I'm hoping to become rich someday. And I said, well, why don't you plan becoming rich someday? And she said, well, how do you do that? And I said, you take the money and you put it in an index fund in the stock market. and or some other investment. Doesn't have to be the stock market, but some other investment. And I said, do it logically, do it intelligently, study it, learn what you're doing, everything else. And I said, and I guarantee you within a decade or two, you're going to be very wealthy. And she said, nah, I'm going to do the lottery. That's a lot faster. It wasn't a lot faster. I don't think she ever won anything in the lottery. But she gave up a lot of money. I know that, and it's sad, sad, sad. But this person had no money management skills. And that's what separates the rich from the wealthy. Now, if you are wealthy, you generally aren't going to be doing the lottery, or you're not going to be gambling a lot of money. I don't gamble anything. I've never gambled a dime in my life. And I've never bought a lottery ticket. So I might be the unusual person out there, but I figure if I'm going to have money, I want it to pay me in the future. I want to invest it in such a way that I want to spend it on me. I don't want to spend it and give it away to the government or something like that, or trust luck or my lucky number. I don't trust luck for anything. It just doesn't make sense. But, I thought it'd be kind of interesting. I did some research on the internet to find out, some famous lottery winners that did win millions of dollars, and then see what they did with the money. So I wrote them down. Well, the first one I want to talk about is Janet Leigh. Janet Leigh won $18 million in 1993. And the first thing she did is quit her job. And then she turned around and bought some houses. More houses than she needed. And she didn't rent them out. She just bought them. I don't know why. But 8 years after she won the lottery for $18 million, she was $2 million in debt. And she declared bankruptcy. Alex Tooth, $13 million he won. Of course, he gambled it all away in no time at all. He had two houses, too. I don't know what it is with these two houses thing. But he lost the houses and he declared bankruptcy. Andrew Whitaker Jr., $314 million. $314 million? Yes, he gambled it all away. And in 4 years, he was completely broke. I like this one couple. They won millions and millions of dollars in the lottery. They had two kids. They hired a nanny to watch the two kids while they went to Vegas and stayed in $1,000 a night rooms and gambled the whole entire thing away. And it was millions. Also I see football players and baseball players, basketball players that make millions of dollars in their contract, and they work, for more than just a handful of years, and they're making, millions, tens of millions. And then 2 or 3 years after their contract is up, they have nothing to show for it. And the reason is it is important how much you make, but it's more important of how you manage what you make. And I've heard stories about school bus drivers who would spend their time. This one guy would spend his time studying the stock market in between picking kids up in the morning and dropping them off at night. So he would sit there in a school bus in a transportation yard, and he would kick back and he would read Wall Street Journal, and he would study stocks and everything else. He didn't make a lot of money, but he became wealthy. He was a multi-millionaire by the time he retired from the school district. So I hear those stories that people make a lot of money and go bankrupt. Then I hear some stories where people make, decent income. It would be great if they made lots of money because they knew how to handle the money and they become wealthy over it. Now my story is I always seemed to be able to make money up to a certain point in my life, but I was never able to become wealthy with the money. And one of the reasons why is I got in a habit that which I've learned from family members that, if you could afford it, you bought it. And the way you knew you could afford it is if the car dealership told you you could afford it, you could afford it. It was easy payments here and easy payments there. And you only had to make minimum payments on that credit card. And at one point, I maxed out all my credit cards. And I was working 2 jobs. And I still would run out of food on a Thursday night before Friday payday. And I was only paying my minimum on these credit card accounts. And I looked at them one time and how much money I had, spent on these credit cards. And I remember one time I said to my wife, I said, this one credit card, we just have this amount of money. What did we buy with this? And she said, you don't remember? It was about 10 years ago. We bought a microwave. And I said, I'm still paying for the microwave? And she said, yes, you are still paying for the microwave. We are still paying for the microwave. And we're making minimum payments. And so I decided that was it. I was going to learn the rules of finance and money. And there are rules. And I know by making minimum payments on the credit card company loves you, but you're never going to get anywhere in life when it comes to wealth. George Clason wrote a book called Wealthiest Man in Babylon. And it's a great book, and you should read it. And I'll put a link down in the description there for you. But it was a fantastic book, and it teaches basic money management. And this is what separates rich people, or others, I should say, from wealthy people. And he had a statement, not in the book, but he made a statement. One of his quotes when he was giving speeches said, "Money is plentiful for those who understand the simple laws which govern its acquisition." And he's absolutely right. Once I learned the simple rules, my wealth increased. Once my wealth increased, my life got easier. And let me tell you, it's easier getting out of debt and getting out of being poor than it is being poor. Being poor is hard. So it's easier if you have a plan, if you know what you're doing, you know the details and all to do that. It's all about money management and learning these different things, learning how to get out of debt. Dave Ramsey, great guy. His programs are fantastic. I do things a little different than him, and when it comes to money management, but I tell you what, you wouldn't go wrong listening to Dave Ramsey's and living your finance life the way he suggested. I also came across an interesting thing in the Bible. I always think, when you talk about the Bible, especially Proverbs, there's so much wisdom in there for businesses, for individuals, for people who just want to learn about life, but also want to learn about money. The Bible talks a lot about money and how to handle money, and it doesn't do it in a way that money is evil and bad and all this other stuff. It doesn't do that. It talks to you about how to become wealthy, and it says wealthy is not a bad thing. Proverbs 13:7 says, "One person pretends to be rich, yet has nothing." That's your rich, not wealthy. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. Yes, I have some friends that are extremely wealthy, and you would never know it because of what they drive and the way they dress. But they're happy people. They enjoy building businesses and things like that. This verse is absolutely true. There's a ton of other verses there. But let's not forget, it's time to subscribe, like, comment. Please do that. Really appreciate it. And as you saw in my thumbnail, I stand out. I sit there outside of my house, sitting on my red pickup truck that's 20 years old. Now I have a car that's nice and comfortable and everything else. It's not the latest, greatest. It's probably 5-10 years old also. But the idea is, I said in that thumbnail, my Lamborghini is on order. No, my Lamborghini is not on order. I will never buy a Lamborghini. I have no interest in Lamborghini. I have enough money I could buy one right today if I wanted to, but I'd rather invest in real estate. And that's because I'd rather be wealthy than to appear to be rich. Thank you for watching today. I do appreciate it. Hope you have a great day.